Hello and welcome back to these conversations from Amma Healthcare Research Gurukul, a place that we have envisaged, a space that we have envisaged to make research simple and doable by everyone, an open, free, non-judgmental space. In this session, we have with us Dr. Vijay Matthew Churakutil, an eminent radiologist who is a secretary of the Kerala IRIA and holds several positions in radiology in India. One of the positions that he held till recently was the national coordinator for a flagship program of the national IRIA, the Samrakshan program. Now, the Samrakshan program was envisaged to reduce perinatal mortality in India. It's an open fact that India has among the highest maternal mortality rates, a very high neonatal mortality rate, a very high perinatal mortality rate. And he conceived the whole idea of how fetal radiology imaging of the fetus can help reduce maternal mortality or death of the pregnant mother, death of the mother during pregnancy, and reduce neonatal mortality and perinatal mortality. So without taking too much of your time, let me welcome Dr. Vijay Matthew to give us a brief about Samrakshan and the journey that he has had on Samrakshan, to tell us more about it, and to also give us glimpses into the future directions that Samrakshan might take. Welcome, Dr. Vijay. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. Samrakshan, I think this was a concept that was new to the Indian radiology. All these years, the obstetric imaging was revolving around anomaly detection and aneuploidy markers. So that shift has actually happened after 2000, where the biochemical markers and the concept of nuchal translucency, which has got a increased nuchal translucency, which has got a link with chromosomal disorders, especially the Down syndrome. There has been a significant shift in the pregnancy scans, especially to focus upon to pick up those babies who are chromosomally abnormal, especially the Down syndrome. In fact, I should say the hunt for Down syndrome babies started after 2000. Ever since Kypros Nicolaides has described the nuchal translucency, and they've developed a combined screening methodology with the use of biochemical markers and the imaging parameters to narrow down the statistical risk of having Down syndrome baby, and further to have karyotypic and genetic studies to confirm that. So that if you look at the pregnancy scans in the last 20 years especially, we will see that they are focused highly on structural anomalies, specifically the anomaly detection and the aneuploidy markers, or the chromosomal markers, or the genetic markers. And there is a sequential evaluation for them at different stages of pregnancy, which gives you the combined risk analysis or the risk stratification to understand or to know which mothers or with pregnancies has to go for a invasive procedure like amniocentesis and karyotyping. To a certain extent, from the Western world, it evolved from the Western world, and the technologies related to that also developed. To a certain extent, they are justified to go for such a screening procedure with respect to the population they have. But when I analyze the Indian perinatal statistics, there seems to be a disconnect with what we are doing at the ground and what is the perinatal outcomes or the causes of the perinatal mortality in India. And it is at this stage that I have been focusing on a targeted imaging for fetal anomalies, where I always emphasized the TIFA scans, and we always emphasize that we have to give priorities not only to structural anomalies or the structural or genetic markers, but also to fetal growth as well as to fetal environment. And in fact, I had proposed a scoring system called as FIRADS, or Fetal Imaging and Radiology and Diagnostic Score, with these three parameters: structural, environmental, and growth parameters taken into consideration for a comprehensive evaluation of a pregnancy scan. So it is at this time that I realized that the perinatal mortality in India is significantly high, and there are the causes of perinatal mortality or perinatal deaths adds on to the statistics of neonatal mortality and even into the infant mortality rates in India. So what can radiologists do about it? It's usually we doesn't give much emphasis on fetal growth and fetal environment or the maternal environment. But what I realized is the 60 to 70% of causes of perinatal mortality in India are due to prematurity and complications, and also intrapartum complications. So that constitutes a significant number of preeclampsia, fetal growth restriction, and these are two. I realized that these are preventable causes, or at least we can modify it if we detect it earlier. So that was a time when there are significant studies were coming out from the Barcelona group from 2014 onwards, who had worked on this fetal growth restriction and the staging of fetal growth restriction. And the same Nicolaitis group had also worked on the preeclampsia and FGR screening, and had developed even some calculators to bring in the combined screening into these two particular areas too. So Samrakshan, basically, I proposed this idea to Dr. Hemant Patel, who was then president of Indian Radiological and Imaging Association, and to Secretary Dr. Amarnath, who is currently the president of Indian Radiological and Imaging Association. And such a project with a lot of academic as well as social commitment involved in, especially to achieve a national goal to reduce the perinatal mortality. The radiologists also can contribute to that particular cause. That appealed to them, and they straight away agreed to take up this as a project of the national IRA, and that's how the project Samrakshan came into existence. So Project Samrakshan, as I said earlier, this is basically to reduce the perinatal mortality in India, focusing on combined screening at first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester, with the help of Dopplers to stratify the risk of the mother and this pregnancy for the development of preeclampsia and fetal growth restriction. Why did we focus on this? Is because this is a cause, if we can detect early, we will be able to modify it or prevent it for premature births or preterms, or even very low birth weight babies. We can prevent it, which are all significant causes of perinatal death or perinatal morbidity too. So the focus was basically to have this combined screening program in first trimester with the help of the maternal history, the mean arterial pressure, and the uterine artery Doppler percentiles. And we did not take into consideration the biochemical parameters initially, because for a pan-India application of this program, we found that beyond the tier 2 or tier 3 cities, the accessibility to such biochemical tests are limited. So in order to have a pan-India presence, we limited our screening protocol with maternal history, the mean arterial pressure measurements, and the uterine artery Doppler PI index percentiles. And then if the risk is higher than 1 in 150, we recommended 150 milligram low dose aspirin at bedtime till 36 weeks, which has been proven in many studies has significantly reduced the incidence of preterm preeclampsia and by nearly 80%. So that is going to be a significant game changer as far as India is concerned, because the incidence of preeclampsia in India is nearly 8 to 10% of all the pregnancies. And gestational hypertension is there for nearly 10% of all pregnancies, 5 to 8% for preeclampsia, and 2 to 5% of eclampsia in pregnancy. So this is a huge problem as far as India is concerned. We just got a 3 crore pregnancies in India. So the nearly 30 lakhs mothers are likely to have hypertension, and nearly 24 lakhs mothers are likely to get into preeclampsia. So this is a huge screening procedure. And if we apply it and can categorize this risk, stratify the risk for these mothers, and can implement, institute low-dose aspirin therapy, 80% of them will not have preeclampsia or fetal growth restriction. That means it's going to make a significant shift in the perinatal statistics of India. That's how I conceived this project. And of course, there has been skill enhancement programs. There need to be a team, definitely. Even if your mind desires, or the heart desires, or the mind decides, you need skilled hands to implement it. And definitely for brainstorming, we had a team from all over India who were keenly working on these particular areas. Dr. Devarajan from Tirupur, Dr. Bavaharan from Trichy, then Dr. Neelam Jain from Jamshedpur, Dr. Sanij from Calicut. There are a lot of people initially involved in the brainstorming, and along with Dr. Praveen Nirmalan from Hyderabad and Cochin, who also is the mentor, chief research mentor, and the chief research mentor at the Amma Healthcare Research Gurukul, who had significantly contributed to this project. So thanks to you. Thanks to the whole team, we were able to come out with a protocols, the Samrakshan forms, and a lot of materials were uploaded in the IRIA website, ira.org.in. Go to the Samrakshan link. You can get access to the Samrakshan library and the forms, and you can know everything about Samrakshan. And the forms, we encouraged those who are practicing it to fill the forms and submit to a central data base. And we started publishing those, analyze the data and publish those in the Journal of Fetal Radiology on a periodical basis for the last 1.5 years. So that data is significant. I think Praveen can help me analyze that data and say that whether it has made a significant impact in the perinatal mortality, because whatever data we had more than 6,000 plus data that is coming in from different trimesters, and with a lot of outcome data too. So outcome data too were there. So I think Praveen, you will be the right person to comment on the outcomes of or the analysis of that data that we already had, and which was already published in the Journal of Fetal Radiology. Please.
What we saw from the analysis, that's from March 2020. Well, the program started around July 2019, and it really became operationalized, let's say, from August 2019, when the data started flowing. So we had done an interim analysis in March 2020, and then we followed that up with another analysis on March 2021. And what we have seen is that the number of the neonatal mortality rate in the first year, Samrakshan has managed to bring the neonatal mortality rate down to 15.32 per 1,000 live births, as opposed to what was the national average of around 25. And in March 2021, it has further reduced to 12.17 per 1,000 live births. Perinatal mortality rate, which is around 36 for India, as per the National Family Health Survey 4, reduced to 26.52 in the Samrakshan areas, in the areas where Samrakshan was implemented. That's March 2020, and has reduced further to 19.13 in March 2021. That's a significant reduction because it's much lower than the national average. So Samrakshan has played a part there. And we have looked at childbirth outcomes on women who have passed through the Samrakshan protocol of integrating fetal Doppler studies at every trimester. And you have the childbirth outcomes. What we have also found is that as a result of this process, a protocol-based management, what we have found is that we were able to, when I say we, it includes everyone who participated in the program. So we were able to recommend the obstetrician that childbirth can be delayed till term in certain instances, because we now had objective measures of fetal Doppler parameters to offer. It was no longer almost like a subjective decision. You had a very objective parameters here. You had the mean uterine artery Doppler parameter in the third trimester. You had the cerebroplacental ratio. You had the MCA. You had the umbilical artery. You had all these parameters to say that, well, this fetus we feel is not yet in distress and can be carried till term. Another thing that the protocol-based management helped with is to really categorize babies as stage 1 FGR or a very mild fetal growth restriction, and to differentiate them from small for gestational age babies, where the babies are smaller but don't have any particular Doppler abnormality. And so the risk of adverse events is lower. And so those babies could be carried till term. And we saw the difference when we look at the data. Preterm births, March 2020 was 29.54%. March 2021 has reduced further to 23.06%, as opposed to a preterm birth rate of around 36 to 40%. That's reported from various sources. Now, again, when I say that has been reported from various sources, we need to consider the factor that we don't have a very good national level data, representative data on preterm births. We have the fact that we are among the largest contributors to the preterm birth rate worldwide. We have around 3.75 million preterm births annually, so a large number. But we don't have the exact data on that because that has to be collected. But we have seen that Samrakshan has brought about a very significant reduction in the preterm birth rate. Again, we have seen Dr. Rizzo mentioned that pregnancy-induced hypertension and preeclampsia, about 10% of pregnant women get it, develop it. That's a reported estimate for India, 10%. About 5 to 8%, in some instances 9% are preeclampsia, and you got a smaller incidence of eclampsia. Now, what we found is that the maternal preterm preeclampsia was 9.85% in March 2020, and by March 2021, it has reduced to 6.75%. It's a very significant reduction, and that reduction is entirely, see, nothing else has changed much in the management plan except the addition of fetal Doppler studies in the first trimester, assessment of risk in the first trimester, and the administration of low-dose aspirin to those identified as at risk. So we can say that that has been the addition to the routine protocol that's being followed. So we can say that this addition has led to a significant reduction. It need not be the only factor, but it's one of the main contributing factors that has led to a significant reduction. 9.85% to 6.75% maternal preterm PE is a big reduction. So when we look at the baseline data and we look at the first year data, Samrakshan has done a lot of good in terms of objective parameters. If you're looking at maternal preterm preeclampsia rates, which is one of the main focus of the program, to reduce that and to manage that better. And if we look at it in terms of neonatal mortality rate or perinatal mortality rate. So in terms of the two main indicators that Samrakshan focused on in the first year, it has achieved a lot. What will be of interest now that we know that it has achieved this, and these are based on data that has come in from Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, several places in India. And if we look at it A lot of data was from rural areas in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. So places where we have a very high perinatal mortality rate, neonatal mortality rate, have also shown a very significant reduction by this introduction. And the I would like Dr. Vijay to talk more about the components of the program, because it's the components of the program and the people in the program that have led to this reduction. There hasn't been too much of changes. There has been a bit of skill enhancement. There's been a bit of emphasizing a systematic approach to the problem. And there has been talks and interactions between the radiologists and the obstetricians who are managing the childbirth, and a dialogue and discussion around. There has been reaching out to the neonatologists as well as we are looking at these parts. And we will give this information to you, and that can help you with the decision making. So the dialogue has been set, and that's been an integral part of the Samrakshan program. And those parts were conceived and envisaged by Dr. Riju, and I would really like him to explain to the audience how that process really worked and what are the components that has helped to give this such a good result, actually.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. That was a wonderful question. So basically, when we designed this Samrakshan, we came out with a 7-star program for Samrakshan. The 7-star program, which had 7 components, which first one was regarding awareness. We need to create awareness amongst the radiologists, and also to make them understand the importance of this particular project with respect, which has got a national importance, which has got importance for those radiologists who are working in obstetric and perinatal radiology. The second one was to have a skill enhancement program. We had an online training program with modules in EC class, and later on it was released in through the YouTube, and we had several webinars also during this period of pandemic, during the first wave of pandemic, several webinars. And also before the pandemic, we had conducted several CMEs, on-site CMEs at Trichy, at Indore. It started in Indore with the help of Dr. R.K. Sodani. And then again in Madhya Pradesh in Jabalpur with Dr. Pushparaj Patel, who is the president-elect now. Then in Trichy, Dr. Bauhern organized a major conference on Samrakshan. That Dr. Devarajan organized a conference in Tirupur. Then in Rajasthan, Dr. Jivraj Singh and Dr. Rajiv Singh organized a conference on Samrakshan. Dr. Gulab Chajar and Dr. Renu Singh were involved there. Then in Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Bhupendra Ahuja sir and the team at Agra organized a conference on Samrakshan. So several conferences, on-site conferences, and several webinars were done with the intention to have a skill enhancement to make people understand the program. So what they have to do at different trimesters, and that is how a lot of people got interested into it. They started doing it. This is basically as optimizing the resources. We were not going for any high funda investments or technology investment here. We just wanted the radiologists to work in a proper way to yield the best results with the help of a combined screening methodology, taking into account the history, the mean arterial, taking blood pressure was not a major thing at all. You can get in 2 automatic BP apparatus from Amazon, which were 1,500. And you have to train your staff to take measurements simultaneously from both arms twice, and that has to be recorded. And the only thing the radiologist has to do is to take the uterine artery Doppler, the right and left uterine artery Doppler in the first trimester in a proper way. And for the third trimesters, you have to take the not only the uterine artery Dopplers, you have to take the umbilical artery, the MCA, and to calculate the cerebrospinal ratio. And in some cases where you may have to go for the ductus venosus and measurements like that. So we were, and also one major hurdle I understood is many people were still not used to the concept of growth in a percentile calculation. There were the fetal weight percentiles has to be, that concept has to be really pushed into. And because without the percentile calculations, we cannot put them into the online calculators to assess the combined risk, which gave them even the staging of the fetal growth restriction and all those stuff. So in the third trimester, basically, we wanted to give more attention in the third trimester scans, which were in previous years only limited to biophysical profile or only a rough assessment of fetal growth. So with the help of Dopplers, we were trying to understand the stage of that growth, as well as whether the baby is in a stage of any hypoxia or distress. And if it is so, it has to be subsequently followed up at regular intervals, or the pregnancy has to be terminated depending on the ominous signs that we get from the Dopplers. So this was the whole motto behind it. So whole thing started giving more attention, especially for those practitioners. They started giving more attention to the first trimester screening of preeclampsia and FGR, and also to the third trimester Doppler for growth assessment, to pick up those babies who are small for gestational age or having a genuine hemodynamic disturbance with fetal growth restriction. So that was a skill enhancement component, which we were able to give that through several forums, in the sense, as I mentioned, webinars, on-site seminars, and even through WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, even whichever method we were able to use to reach out to as many members as possible, we tried to. And we formed WhatsApp groups at state levels where people asked so many doubts. Some were reluctant, some are still reluctant, I must say, to ask about this. But many people started using it, and many people understood the importance. But when we come into the third component of this 7-star program, is the form research. Research is where we had listed a form. We have published a form which you can fill it and submit it online, which is available in the IRA website, the submission forms. So after collecting this data, you fill those forms and submit it online. We get into the central database. We started analyzing. We can analyze the data, and we published these papers. Whatever the analysis that Dr. Praveen had given on the last 2 years of Samrakshan forms are basically from those data submitted from nearly 35 plus districts all over India. But it's still too less as far as India is concerned, because we have got 718 districts in India. So Samrakshan within these 2 years will only reach out to get to form submission level, or to get into the participation into the multicentric research level, only in 35 districts, and that 35 districts from 14 states. So it is still a long way to go. But I must say there are significant contributors who really changed the way the Samrakshan was practiced, and they became the torchbearers of Samrakshan. I must specifically mention a few names here. It is obligatory and mandatory, and I'm very happy to bring them into the limelight. One such person is Dr. Lalit Sharma from Guna, Madhya Pradesh. Another person is Dr. Agansha Bagal from Harda, Madhya Pradesh. Another person who contributed significantly to the research forms and became a part and a spokesperson for this Samrakshan is Dr. Anjali Gupta from Agra, Uttar Pradesh. Then there was significant contributions from Dr. Karthik from Trichy, Dr. Bavaharan, Dr. Devraj from Tirupur, Dr. Neelam Jain from Jamshedpur, then Dr. Shilpa Satarkar from Aurangabad. She is one person who contributed significantly for the research forms and also became a spokesperson. And today, I think for this year, Dr. Bavaharan is the national coordinator for Samrakshan of National IRA, and Dr. Shilpa Satarkar is the joint coordinator for Samrakshan. I'm very happy to see that these leaders have come up and have taken a very responsible role to take forward Samrakshan. That is very, very encouraging. Very, very encouraging, and I must say that gives me real happiness and pleasure to see them taking it forward in a very good way. So that was third component, which was research. But I must say, when it comes to research, the submission of forms, though there were practitioners, only 10% or less started submitting the forms. I think I'm very sure that many people are practicing it. Many have openly confessed to me saying that we are doing it, but we don't have the time or inclination to submit the data. So this is I encouraged them to submit the data, but very politely, many of them refused because citing lack of time or even the research support system or the training facilities they have in their own places. And one more thing I just want to highlight in this particular data submission is most of the data has come from tier 2 cities and below that, and also from secondary and also from diagnostic centers and places from and many places from rural areas also, especially Guna, Madhya Pradesh. Dr. Lelis Sharma's work is something very commendable work he has done. He has published 2 papers based on his work, and there is in that particular area there is a significant reduction in perinatal mortality after he has enrolled in this program. Similarly, for most of the practitioners who enrolled in this program, submitted forms on a regular basis, interacted with the peers to clear their doubts, and also at the same time they interacted with their obstetricians and neonatologists, made them aware about these concepts, and there at those places they also there is a significant change in the perinatal statistics that we can make out from our data. So these people have definitely made Samrakshan a visible project, not only for national IRA, but also amongst other medical fraternity too. So I must thank them profusely at this juncture. Then the fourth component, as I said, is synergy between the obstetricians and neonatologists to optimize the outcome, because what we recommend, they have to do it, because we are most of the time, the radiologists are not the primary physicians, or so we have to recommend it, and they have to be made aware of it, and we have to make them understand the benefits of this program, which many of our practitioners did it with zeal and enthusiasm, and they came out with all those places where they did it. The results were very, very encouraging. And fifthly, what we wanted was to have a policy document at the state level and the national health level, which is still under preparation. In the sense, we have understood the importance of the program, but we have made arrangements. We have made send these data to some of the policy makers at various state government level, and some have taken interest, and the National Health Ministry also has taken some interest on this particular component. So the 7-star program, as I mentioned, included awareness, skill enhancement, research, the synergy between the other stakeholders, the policy documentation, and so on. So it basically, we have achieved almost all the 7 objectives here in a good way. So all these 2 years, but there is a long way to go. As I mentioned, there are 718 districts. We have to reach out to almost all the districts in India to make a difference, especially those districts in states which are have got a significant high perinatal mortality, that is Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. These states we need to work more, and we have to reach out, and we are continuously doing that. But I'm sure if the governments and the larger institutions take a keen interest on it, the spread of this message and the implementation of this program will be much, much faster.
So one point you mentioned was very interesting, and something that's different when we look at most of the programs that roll out. A lot of the programs that we see that are thought of or visualized in a large scale usually rely on the government, or they rely on big institutions, collaborations between big institutions, collaborations between governments and big institutions, or even corporate hospitals. Samrakshan had a different approach in that it was built from the ground up, and your primary focus was on tier 2 cities, individual radiologists, and getting them to feel that they are an integral part of the program and that they have an important role to play. And we see that reflected in the forms that are coming in there. We have a large number of forms coming in from individual practitioners who are traditionally or conventionally not considered part of the academic research circle. It's confined to certain areas, certain sectors. What made you walked down this path, and how satisfying has this path?
It's a very interesting question. I think no one has asked me this question earlier, because there are. If I really answer it with all sincerity, I sometimes I don't know. Some category of people may not like it, but honestly, I must tell you, there are two major drive for new programs or new projects or new ideas percolate into our practice. One, it comes from the international research and percolate down through the national national level leaders of that particular profession who has more access towards that international research or has attended those conferences, those training programs, or has got access to it. Second one is through the industry-driven industry-driven technology as well as as well as application coming into the use. Usually it comes from the experts or the emeritus people who are located mostly in the metros and mini metros, where of course the international licensing happens more frequently, and the industry also will be focusing more on this because of the volumes of business there. So suppose somebody is sitting here down in Cochin saying that something is unique and I want to implement it. Many a times there won't be much listeners, especially from the international level or from the industry level. I must say that I heard as far as the STIFA scan is concerned in 2005 to 2010, I've been talking about it, but there were not much of a takers for it. But later on, we saw that that is being implemented or this thing at a later stage. That's a different story. Similarly, when it came to Samrakshan, I realized that this has to be a unique project that has to be more we need to work out. One is it is specifically India specific data is the baseline for it, which is often overlooked or ignored, and something that is coming from the West or the industry is driving it has been implemented here. So we need to tell our own people that this is not right. You need to focus on our own data and our own statistics. And basically, their bias is nothing to do with this. This is the way that we have been informed about the new developments or new research or applications is in a very different way. So what happens at the ground level in India is often ignored. Something that you see in your day-to-day practice, you tend to ignore and go for something that has been coming from top and will be practicing that. So I just wanted to make a difference here. And I truly believe one thing, that every individual radiologist, irrespective of the area where they practice, irrespective of the entity where they practice, has got a very enormous potential to optimize their skills, put them into their practice, and become a kind of a researcher kind of thing, see things in a new perspective, and apply that and make a result in his local population. So that added upon cumulative effect, it spreads all over the country. That will make a huge difference, because any change in the metros or mini metros in India is not going to change the perinatal mortality statistics all over the country, because 80 to 90% of these deaths are happening in city areas below tier 2 cities and into the rural areas. So if we have to make a difference, we have to get into a person who has got access to that population. We have to motivate that person to optimize his skill sets to implement this program. That's why I went directly to that particular areas, directly met. I knew that other people, other radiologists in metros and mini metros are already doing an excellent work on all these things. Their quality of work is really good. So, but their focus needs to be, even now, after 2 years, I realized they also have realized the importance of the Samrakshan program. They are also talking about the fetal growth restriction, the importance of preeclampsia and FGS screening in India. That's a very encouraging sign as far as, but why I went to the radiologists in diagnostic centers in tier 3 cities and below that is, I honestly believed if we can truly reach out to them, motivate them, enhance their skills, motivate them to apply it to their local population, it will start making a significant impact as far as the perinatal mortality is concerned. Maybe that was a thinking that I had at that point of time, and somehow I think it has worked. And many more miles to go, I do agree.
Well, it has worked. Until now, it definitely has worked. If you look at the participation and if you look at the perinatal statistics that are coming in, and it's a good thought. I think it's a good thought because we are moving the service to the place that needs it most and where we can make the most impact. And we are doing it in a way that is meaningful to the person who is participating. I noticed that you have offered authorship to everyone who has submitted the data forms. And that if you look at it, the first author is usually from a tier 2, if you call them as tier 2 cities or tier 2 towns, or a rural practitioner, an individual practitioner, which is not the usual academic practice or not what we usually see in an academic setting. That's been a big change and probably has helped a lot. And that's a good thought. I feel that has to be encouraged across most healthcare scenarios in India. I also noticed that you brought in the element of health education, discussing and demystifying these findings, health education in regional languages, multilingual health education. So it's not only the conventional global national language of English, the Indian national language of Hindi, but breaking it down into dialects, regional languages, a lot of Malayalam, Tamil, Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, Telugu, different languages coming. What made you think of that?
See, this from our discussions, what we realized is, and the team that I got the last 2 years, I must say, highly versatile people who were good in their communications, and some of them, they volunteered. These are all efforts. When we moved an idea, we got immediately response. I said, okay, I will translate it in Marathi. Dr. Shilpa said, I will do that. Dr. Akansha said, I will translate it in Hindi. So similarly, a lot of people came forward and took up this challenge. And because that, in a way, what I envisaged at that point of time was radiologist has to talk to their patients. And how will you talk to your patient? You are not going to talk to English to all your patients. You're going to talk to them in their regional languages. So you should be more comfortable with the medical terminologies as well as the concepts that you're explaining or the procedures that you're explaining. So you should be very familiar. You should start publishing articles. You should read it. You should write it. Then after a few months or so, you start speaking on it. That becomes the counseling part of it, the communication part of it. And that starts creating a real interface with the patients, which will help you build your practice as well as to for better outcomes, for better feedbacks and all those stuff. So that's how it came in. So the patient interactions will improve. The counseling component will become better. And most importantly, I wanted radiologists to speak to the patients. Radiology is one specialty which is quite comfortable with the images and doesn't want to talk to the patients much. But that has to change, because in the new project that I'm involved in, preventive radiology, especially the clinical radiology component, that radiologist has to talk to the patient. And when you have to talk to the patient, it has to be in their language, in a language in their, that they understand, and the terminologies has also to be explained. So when we took up this project, and most of them realized that it's difficult to communicate, explain the medical terminologies. And then some of them had their own way of explaining it. And some of the videos we did, and we even had a Hindi webinar series with Dr. Lilith Sharma, Dr. Divya Pandey, then Dr. Akansha Bagal, and Dr. Anjali and all, Dr. Shilpa and all taking part in it, which was inaugurated by my PG teacher and my doyen in radiology, Dr. Harshad Baisha from Gujarat. So, so this concept of health education I wanted to promote it as an integral part of the radiology practice. So we need to talk to the patient in their own language rather than just doing the scan and sending them out. We wanted to talk to them, explain it, because combined screening process requires 2-stage or 3-stage process, which patients, of course, you can train your staff to answer their queries, but still they will be interested to know after these things, after doing, taking my BP measurements, after taking this much of history, after doing the scan measurements, what exactly is my risk? And if there is a risk, what I am supposed to do, this is what I have recommended. You have to discuss with your doctor, and also to communicate with their doctor on this particular. So the health education series went on very well, which was published in the Journal of Fetal Radiology, not only as articles, also as video materials, then also as animation series, which Dr. Avani and Dr. B, her husband, took a lot of interest to get them. And I think that component went on very well. I must thank many people for that, who supported it. Of course, you also played a big role in supporting me in this, especially from the Amma Healthcare Research Gurukul and the Health Research Education Foundation that we have here at Kochi. Thank you.
So you presented many facets, many aspects of a very innovative program. And I say it's an innovative program because India has been trying to tackle and has made good strides also in tackling maternal mortality and perinatal mortality from the time of its independence. It's a problem that we know that we have, and we have gradually started reducing and reducing. The one thing that has been missing from our approach from a public health perspective has been the interaction with the radiologist in these programs. It's been a social program, it's been a developmental program, it's been an obstetrician program, it's been a neonatologist program, but the person who can actually see the baby and can see how the baby is growing is the fetal radiologist. And they're trained to do that, and they've got low-cost imaging modalities that can give you good objective measures. For some reason, they were never part of the discussion. Maybe it's because, like Dr. Rijo said, they are introverted geniuses who don't like to talk to people outside, which we know is not true. They are quite naughty and mischievous when they want to be. But they were not part of any of the policy making. If you look at any document, any program, they were never part of the policy making, decision making approach to reducing maternal mortality, perinatal mortality. Samrakshan has come in and shown that these imaging mechanisms, which are low cost, which are safe, and you're not doing anything that you are not doing. It's a routine examination that's being done in the first trimester. You don't have to invest on equipment. You don't have to invest on software. You don't have to invest on anything. People are there doing it. You have to get them into the picture. You have to bring them into a picture and give them a pathway, a more systematic pathway of reporting it and looking at it. And which is what they have done. So it's low cost. And you can involve every radiologist in the country. You can involve every doctor in the country. So it's an inclusive program as well. And from a public health perspective, I found that quite fascinating. And the results till now have supported that. It's made a big difference to move from 25 or 26 or whatever those numbers are of neonatal mortality down to 15 to 12. It's a big shift. It's a huge shift. And it's time that I think Indian healthcare has to embrace more of these innovations. I also feel personally that it's time that Indian healthcare also looks at solutions that are not only coming from metros or big institutions or corporate setups or our favorite Caucasian populations. It's time that we look at things from within our country. It's time that we understand and start acknowledging the skill levels and the intelligence of the doctors that we have. and to trust their clinical acumen and trust also the training that we have given to make them into doctors. So from those parts, I know that many people will be sitting there and frowning at me. And if it was a face-to-face interaction, they could throw their coffee cups at me, which I would have drunk happily anyway. That's a separate matter. But it's time that these kind of innovations come into the picture. And it's time that we acknowledge that we can be part of these kind of innovations. And that's one message that I would possibly give to all the radiologists out there, that it's your data, it's your work that's coming up. It's your work on your population that's coming up. And you're making a big difference. And you can make an even bigger difference by sharing your work experiences and by sharing your data. And that's all that there is to this. Samrakshan is going into newer directions. And we'll continue these conversations and we will look at the newer directions. I will request Dr. Rijo to give a very brief look at what newer directions is Samrakshan looking at. But it also brings in the process of evolution that Samrakshan is going. It started from an evidence base that India has a problem. It looked at what are the main drivers of that problem. It looked at what can we do as a group, as a society, doing what we are doing, and it has implemented that. And it's found that it has created a difference. It's not now going to say, clap their hands and say, well, we did great, and now let's stop it and let's be where we are. It's looking at newer directions to go in, and how can we further reduce the burden of ill health around pregnancy, which is a very natural process. And it's essential that we offer our pregnant women a safety net of well-being and health. And this program is working towards that. And that's a very laudable thing that has to be appreciated. So Dr. Rijo, if you can give a very brief introduction to our further conversations on what further directions is Samrakshan looking at moving into.
Just share a PowerPoint with you. Is my PowerPoint visible?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So what you mentioned right now is Samrakshan is basically a project where the technology like color Doppler has to be integrated into the perinatal care for stratification of risk and management of that risk for better perinatal and maternal outcomes. So that is the basic intention, because, and you rightly asked why radiologists were not included in all these discussions, is basically for most of the policymakers, the visible stakeholders were obstetricians and the neonatologists. And radiologists has not made a sincere attempt to promote themselves as somebody who can make a significant difference, or somebody who can who has got a program by themselves to make a difference. So maybe this is the first attempt from the Radiology Association on that particular front. And we have proved in these last 2 years that with the help of the technology will accelerate this change. So this is one concept that radiology, being a technology-oriented modality, that has to tell the policymakers that with the use of technology and optimizing the skill sets of those persons all over the country who are practicing it, it is, and with the help of this risk stratification methods and related management, it is possible to make a significant difference in the health outcomes or the perinatal outcomes in our country. So that message has to go. Maybe this subjection has worked as a pilot project, and I'm sure the National Association and will take it up in a big way. And also the policymakers also will see this difference, because we have published this data, and we have even international researchers have inquired about these studies. So a lot of things are happening now. So where should we take this forward is we need to have this perinatal radiology conversations. Okay, we need to have this perinatal radiology conversations, which I feel is the next stage of which Samrakshan has to scale up its activities, not only limit itself to the skill enhancement, the research submission, the multicentric research, and and things like that. We have to start the finer components into this perinatal mortality, perinatal statistics, that we have to focus and bring in the conversations to one, stillbirths. Stillbirths are fetal deaths after 28 weeks of pregnancy. So the 60 to 70% of causes of stillbirths are preventable. So we need to pay more attention to them. It may not be 10 to 30% can be chromosomal abnormalities or anomalies or causes beyond our reach to modify or rectify. But 60 to 70% of causes of stillbirth in our country, especially in India, are preventable, basically due to fetal growth restriction, preeclampsia, and stuff like that. So we need to pay more attention to this, particularly again to stillbirths at various parts of our country. It varies, the statistics varies from different parts of our countries, and we need to pay more attention to that. Another focus I would like to give for Samrakshan is on preterm births. So preterm births again causes a significant number of premature babies, and preterm and prematurity. Prematurity and its complications, as I mentioned earlier, as a significant cause of a contributor to perinatal death. So how can we prevent prematurity? What are the problems due to prematurity? Most of the babies die. The 10 times the babies that die due to structural anomalies or due to chromosomal anomalies die due to prematurity and its complications. So how can we prevent that? How can we take a pregnancy to term? Is there any way we can monitor those pregnancies? And so again, the Samrakshan offers you some solutions for that with the help of Doppler. So preterm and prematurity and complications, that perinatal radiology conversations has to set in. Dialogue with the obstetricians and the neonatologists we have to start. Make them aware of the possibility of a technology like Doppler to screen those pregnancies and bring them into the, to stage them and monitor those pregnancies for proper management. So all these things are required. And that fourth component I feel is the focus has to come into fetal growth. Again, not just limiting itself to structural anomalies or genetic markers or aneuploidy markers. The discussion, the dialogue has to be on fetal growth. And definitely there are a lot of indicators that people are now talking more on fetal growth restriction amongst the obstetrician societies, also amongst in the neonatal forums also. So then another component is stillbirth, preterm, prematurity, fetal growth, then perinatal asphyxia. Perinatal asphyxia is a significant cause of perinatal morbidities, especially the poor neurodevelopmental outcomes. Again, with the help of Doppler indices like cerebroplacental ratios, if the babies are more, those babies are more likely to have perinatal hypoxias, we may be able to detect them early and offer them or guide them for a better management. So these are the 5 areas I feel the Samrakshan has to take forward the perinatal radiology conversations amongst the radiologists and also with the obstetricians and the neonatologists. Now we need to form a dialogue with the other stakeholders and become a part of the management team, where the obstetricians and neonatologists should ask the radiologists that what do you think the perinatal what do you think about this asphyxia status, whether this baby is in real distress or whether we can take it out, or all these dialogues has to happen between the obstetricians, neonatologists and the perinatal radiologists. I must call them as perinatal radiology conversations, and I'm sure that is the way that in the 3rd year of Samrakshan we have to take it forward. I hope the national coordinator, Dr. Bavaharan, and the joint coordinator, Dr. Shilpa Satarkar, will be definitely, apart from the skill enhancement program and the already the program that we have with Samrakshan, we have to take it forward in that line. With these conversations, we have to have more discussions, more webinars on stillbirths and preterm births, prematurity and its complications, the fetal growth, and perinatal asphyxia. These are the 5 areas I think Samrakshan has to focus in the future.
So, to sum it up, Dr. Rijal, would it be a fair statement for me to say that what we want really is that every pregnant woman has an assessment, not just of the structural well-being of the baby, but moving beyond that into the health of the mother in terms of preterm preeclampsia, in terms of fetal growth, in terms of fetal environment as well. And that we are able to, or we will be able to move towards a scenario where we are able to predict who is at risk for preterm births and look at them more carefully. Who is at risk for a stillborn baby or a stillbirth, and look at them more carefully, and thus work on a team, childbirth team with perinatal radiologists as an integral part of that childbirth team to optimize outcomes of pregnancy. So, thanking you once again for this conversation. We will be meeting again and we will discuss each of these areas that Dr. Rijal has pointed out now in greater detail. We'll look at why do we have to focus on stillbirths. I'll try to pick his brains on that. Why do we have to focus on stillbirths? Why preterm births? Why do we have to look at the fetal environment? The environment in the sense, the environment inside the mother's body in which the fetus grows. The nutrients that it gets, the arterial gas and the other nutrient exchanges that helps it to grow, the calmness within the mother's environment, as well as growth. And an important factor that he brought out is the need to move towards looking at percentiles rather than just raw numbers, and that how that helps you to get a better assessment of these factors. So we will look at these factors in greater detail in the coming conversations. We hope you will be there with us. And if you feel that there are questions that we need to address, questions that Dr. Rijal must answer, can answer, and you would like to hear his opinion on, please feel free to post them in the comment box as we upload this. And we'll be happy to take them on and discuss those as well. So once again, thank you, Dr. Rijal, for a very enlightening talk. And we hope to have you with us again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. I think you asked the audience to send questions to Rijal, but Rijal, I remember this Henry Ford's, once it is Henry Ford, you can ask me any question. I have got experts to answer that. so I will also take the same approach because I got experts in the team. Whichever I can answer, I will answer, and whichever I don't know, I will get the I'll get the answers from the experts.
You noticed I only said they can ask questions. I didn't promise that you will give them answers. Anyway, it's good having you. Very
Thank
enlightening to a very good illustration of what a program can achieve without the need for what we usually expect, big grants, big names. It has to have big hype. Without any of that, what a program can achieve from the ground up. And it's been very nice to hear the components of it and the way it's worked. Thank you once again. And I hope to hear more details on the further directions as you move along. And hopefully you will also be able to encourage and motivate Dr. Bavaharan, the new national coordinator, and Dr. Shilpa, the joint national coordinator, to also be part of these conversations as we go along. Thank you so much.
I must thank the Indian Radiological and Imaging Association, the national leaderships and state leaderships who have supported me because this, as you know, it started from the scratch. Sometimes an idea that you would bring up, but they wholeheartedly supported it. Okay, you implement it and show it to us. And that is really, really encouraging in the sense of many people, I'm not sure many people in any association will get that chance. That's basically our national leadership was so receptive on this. I must particularly thank them at this juncture. Thank you.
Thanks once again. See you soon.